Hey there, this is Dylan Jurgens from the Last Take Podcast. I hope you've been enjoying our content, and we have some pretty cool stuff coming up this season. If you haven't already, go subscribe to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and now YouTube, where we'll be posting more often. Also, go follow us on social media on X at The Last Take 22, capital TLT, and Instagram, The Last Take Pod, all lowercase, where we'll be posting more video content from our YouTube or live streams or anything like that in the future. With that said, I hope you enjoy the show, and of course, go Big Red. Welcome back to The Last Take. It's been a while. I'm Dylan Jurgens, and I'm your host, and I'm joined by my co-host, Blake Mace.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, so we're on StreamYard now. We've kind of made a step up from our good old Zoom, our good buddy Zoom from, COVID. So we got used to that, and then now decided to switch over to StreamYard because it's way better interface, and it's more creative for creators and stuff like that. So this will be good as we get closer to school and stuff like that. So we got a little bit smaller episode, but just trying to get back into routine here. So we'll first start talking about our summer, and then we'll go over some future plans and stuff like that. So before we hop into the main content. So we'll just start with talking about our summer. So how's your summer been, Blake?
Well, it's been pretty good so far. Started off very busy, as you know, Dylan. And I had the opportunity. Well, first of all, hold on. I got to showcase these Husker gloves. These are Fedoni's gloves, Council Bluffs boys, Lewis Central boys. It's backwards. LC. There we go. I wanted to showcase off those because I went to his yard sale thing. Adrian Martinez had his, a few years ago. So like, you know what? I want something of Fedoni's because there wasn't any at that huge sale that they were doing at the end of the school year. So yeah, I got those. Anyways, I had the opportunity to go to San Francisco and compete in the National Hearst Journalism Awards. I was a top 5 audio finalist. There are people there in my group from the University of Illinois, 2 people from the University of North Carolina, 1 from the University of Oregon, and then the other one is from the University of Knoxville, Tennessee. So, yeah, some very cool people. Met a lot of great people. A very fun time, a very challenging time as a journalist. Because I had only done a few news audio pieces before, and even those were done for my class, and I wasn't necessarily sure. Like, I love these. I worked on these pieces a lot, but I didn't even know that they would be award-worthy. And then my professor was like, yeah, so you have the potential to compete out in San Francisco for these national awards forever. I'm like, yeah, I'll love that. I'm very competitive. I'll like that. And I thought, okay, we'll see about that. And then I get the email, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, it became real.
It became real. I had never traveled by myself like that before. I've flown a lot, so that really wasn't nerve-wracking. But of course, being in a city like that, like San Francisco for my first time, I fell in love with San Francisco. I was really able to enjoy a lot of areas. Granted, I didn't really get to go. Every big city has your touristy areas, and that's really where I stayed for the most part. But honestly, you hear a lot of bad things about San Francisco, but it's no different than any other big town. I really do not see the difference, even to some of the likes of Omaha.
Right.
There's some bad areas in Omaha, and there's some bad areas in San Francisco. And so I fell in love with it because there's just a lot of cool things to do in an area that I just haven't been to. And so, yeah, being able to go up to the wineries, and just have a fun time and meet a whole bunch of future colleagues and very close friends. It was fun, but it was a short time. That was the most depressing part because that last night before everyone flew off the next day, we went out and hung out, and everyone kept leaving one by one because, they're getting tired and they had to prepare for the morning. And it's like, man, I don't know when I'm going to see these guys again. So that part was a little depressing, but overall, a very fun time. Dylan, what'd you do this summer, or what have you been up to?
Well, been doing a lot of work. I've been working at Menards. Say big money, Sigma money at Menards.
Midwest National Anthem.
Yeah, it's been fun. Otherwise, I've just been keeping up on the writing stuff. Obviously, you have your calling with the audio production stuff like that. But I've really, if you're listening, I've really hit my stride with the writing stuff. So I started a new series for the preseason here, the Nebraska top 5. So like going over like 5 impact freshmen, 5 best 5 offensive players, defense, etc. So I've been doing that. I got some cool plans for that. Otherwise, just ready for the school year to start, honestly.
Oh, same. I'm excited, really.
I had some summer school, so it's kind of like so I got done with that, and then kind of just waiting now for school, but trying to like relax and actually have a summer now. Like I've had school since the beginning of June, so now in July, it's the. I feel like every time, I don't know how it feels with you, Blake, but every time we pass the 4th of July, it just goes so fast.
Oh, that's
so fast after.
Dude, that's been my quote ever since I was a kid. Was like summer's over after 4th of July, because you at first you're like, okay, we got so much time until school, and then you get busy with stuff, and the next thing you know, you're preparing for the 4th of July. Because at least for me, we have a big 4th of July party like every year, and so that is an entire process of getting the house ready, going out and buying fireworks and stuff like that, and it's just kind of something that everyone looks forward to. And next thing you know, it's gone. We're already July 20th.
Yeah.
Felt like a week ago, dude. Like it
I know.
Had everyone over there and hanging out. But now I'm excited for school to start up. I have a lot of fun classes, a lot of challenging classes. I'm going to be doing a lot more sports broadcasting. I haven't done that in a little while because I've been more in the news recently, which is a whole lot of fun. But another thing about being in San Francisco, all those people are regular news media people, and here's me, majority of sports media guy out there, and I'm like hard news, but I'm more of a sports person.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be calling some games this coming semester for my broadcasting classes.
Yeah. What broadcasting classes are you in?
So I know I have one with Dolman, so sportscasting one. I think that's the one Justice was in last year, and that's
just a straight up sports broadcast class.
Yep. And I'm very excited for that one. Jake, our buddy Jake Salins, who's been on the podcast, he's in that, and I'm excited to call games with him and whoever else is in the class. But yeah, just excited for the year to start, man. It's gonna be a good year for both of us.
How about that history class we're in?
History class is going to be interesting, but you know what? It doesn't matter the content because, it will matter if the class is kind of dumb challenging. Everyone's had those classes. Those viewers when they were back in college or if they're in college now, had those classes where the core, like the actual class itself shouldn't be hard, but the coursework is unnecessarily hard and tedious. That can get annoying. So I worry that it's not like the last history class we had where it's just a little like it wasn't bad, it just was why'd it have to be so tedious,
right?
Especially because that history class we had in the first semester was the most chill thing you could possibly do, and then ramp up, we do this and it's just complete 180. So at least we have a whole bunch of friends in that class. How many friends do we have in that class? I mean,
a bunch
a bunch of friends in that class,
because I know Justice, viewers, him, you love him. The man that Justice Rhodey is going to be in the class. We just said Jake.
Jack Lyons, who's been on the podcast. He's a very early guest on the podcast.
It was like our freshman year. And then another buddy. I think it's Alan, but
yeah, maybe Alan or something like that.
Yeah. So that's the point. So, but yeah, we got pretty exciting school year. But something to kind of tie to that is obviously you probably saw like towards the end of the year, we only had, I think, 2 episodes since spring break or since winter break. Well, both of us just got super busy. So we kind of decided, well, let's do a little bit of revamping. And so we have a whole list here. I'm not going to go through all of it because a lot of it is just, some of like
behind the scenes
stuff,
details.
Like, behind the scenes stuff. Like I'm not going to talk about what day we record, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say, we'll try to push to publish every Wednesday, every week. And I know a lot of our podcasts, especially when we have guests, they've been super long. Like I know there was one time our freshman year, there was an episode that was like over almost 2 hours long, which we'll never do that again.
Yes.
Never. That was the bowl game one. I remember that. So, but
I felt like I was falling asleep in the middle of that one. Like I had a whole bunch of energy after the first 10 games, and I was like, okay,
yeah. So for the future, our goal is to get around 30 to 45 minutes episode. But
and more fast-paced style too.
Yeah, more fast-paced.
We kind of were a little redundant on some things, and so being able to just fast forward through things and get going.
Yeah, and we promise you we won't go over an hour, and if we do, it will be split up. So if we record on a Monday, we'll post one on Wednesday and then Friday, basically.
Yep.
the different parts. So obviously for the fall, at least we'll keep up that college football pick'em. That's been the popular thing, I guess, among us and a lot of our guests. We keep track of that stuff. Like, it's really fun going back. Like,
It is.
a couple weeks ahead away, like a couple weeks after having a cool guest talk about, oh yeah, Kyle Byers for No Block No Rock went 3-9, like type of thing. So like, or 1-10, like that type of stuff. That's really fun to go back, and it's kind of like become a competition a little bit. Even though sometimes we don't tell our guests what they finished with. I remember 2 years ago when we had Nick Sainer.
Yes.
I didn't tell him how good he did. So whoops. But so yeah, we'll keep that. We'll keep the running record as usual. A little bit of competition between me and Blake, and also the guest record stuff. So we'll keep that up. Like the weekly stuff. So yeah, we'll talk about college football, that type of stuff, what's going on, but like keep it to a minimum. And then we'll also try to do games weekly, but that's also hit or miss. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to test run it today, obviously. And then the really fun part I'm really excited for is our preview episode series we're going to try to do. So we'll start doing it here soon as our conference preview. So we'll go conference by conference. We'll probably stick it to the Power Four. Or maybe, and then do like one episode going over like the Group of Five stuff, but maybe. But we'll go conference by conference, kind of look at the conference and see what they look like for the 2025 season, and who are like the teams that stand out, who's going to be the bottom feeder, that type of thing. So, so we'll look over that, and then also I'm really excited for this because Blake, you did this after, I believe, the Illinois game, where Nebraska was. It was like a good game, but also like there was a lot to like kind of discuss over it
and digest over it. That was really the most part for me.
Yeah, we'll try to do this as much as we can is like kind of like a live stream almost after each game, kind of like discussing our thoughts from it. It would be good because it did pretty well on we'll probably do it mostly on X and stuff like that, but
it got people to comment and it was able to fuel conversation again. Of course, after a Husker game, you're going to want immediate reactions, and I just knew I myself had questions after that Illinois game because, you know, when we're in the stands watching the game, obviously we all don't 100% know what is going on. So it allows us to, you know, keep other people's opinions coming in and just able to understand and digest really what happened. Because I remember that whole thing about the Illinois deal was I just was like, we really just lost that game, didn't we? And it was just kind of like, wow, that was, man, I really thought we had it. Well, but yeah, so that's something we're going to be doing.
And then, so obviously you see we're doing more video this time. So obviously we'll keep it up like Apple, Spotify. That's our two main ones. We're going to start doing YouTube. We did it 2 summers ago. We tried it out. Didn't go as well, but obviously that's with Zoom. So now it's a little bit more better interface, like I was talking about at the beginning. So we'll try to do more of that. And then there's also video. We'll try to do video in studio as well. So then we can post that stuff. Also, we're going to push the shorts and reels. We're going to see a lot of stuff from Blake. Blake's going to do a lot of that. Obviously, we'll keep that up. So we'll test that out. So we'll see how that goes.
I do got a shout out who is sort of the inspiration. Jared, my close buddy from No Block No Rock, and he knows it. Dylan and I have been huge fans of theirs for a long time, and we've been able to become really good friends with those guys over there. And you know, he's someone who really started hopping on that, and he was saying how, you know, easy it is and how that was able to garner a lot of reactions and stuff like that. And so we're going to be doing a lot of the similar stuff to that. Obviously, you know, you got to be different somehow, and we're going to find our ways to be different. Especially with one of the games that we got coming up later in the show today. But yeah, just those short form content to get those reactions out there, to get people talking, you know, that's what we want to have happen. And that's what we're having a little bit at the beginning when we started the podcast, but you know, again, you kind of just get in the routine of doing things, and we had to revamp it somehow, and that's what we're doing this season.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. Obviously we'll try to do some guests like we have been in the past. So I have written like flex connections. Like we could do repeat guests if we really want to. Obviously we're going to try to push for new ones, but like, obviously we remember Alex Fernando, our co-JMC recruiter, and just an awesome guy.
College football know-it-all.
Yes. Don't forget about that. Try to do if you remember, some of the viewers probably remember this. We had JP from KYX. That was a good episode. We could try to maybe get Evan Bland back on one of these times, and we could do some new guests, like I don't know, some different media members too, like we know have connections with. So, and then on socials, we'll probably try to do a little bit more engaging stuff. Like I don't know, we've done this in the past, and we actually addressed it on a podcast. Is we've done polls, so try to do that a little bit more. Like try to do more engaging stuff like polls and maybe like a elastic mailbox type of thing. Like you ask questions, Q&As, all that stuff. So we might try to do some of that, but that's again, we'll see how it goes as we kind of test some stuff out. So I think that's all I have for that. So we'll really look over what we're going to go over today. So obviously Nebraska football. I mean, the seasons are almost already here. It's crazy. Their media days is around the corner, and then fall camp starts right after that. So there's obviously expectations this year. So kind of go over a couple of things I've highlighted here. We'll also talk about our good old buddy Scott Frost. Scott F. The little thing he talked about last week at the Big 12 Media Day. And then Blake kind of talked just sneak peek about the game we have in mind, and then we'll cap it off with the top 5 non-con games of 2025. Everybody does like the top 10 games of the year, but like the non-con is like you get the most interesting matchups. You obviously in conference play you got Big 10, so you have Michigan, Ohio State. The ACC you got a Clemson, FSU every other year, or Florida State, Miami, that type of stuff. But no one talks about the non-conference games. Obviously, this year's a little different, but a lot of times no one talks about them because they're all like boring. So we're gonna go over those this year or this to end the podcast. So we'll hop right into Nebraska football. So expectations, obviously, last year, you look at Nebraska, they finished with a 7-6 record. Obviously, it's the first bowl win in way too long.
Dylan, we were in middle school, man.
Yeah,
we were in middle school the last time we went to a bowl game, and I don't know about you, but that was a long time ago. So,
yeah, especially when we were juniors in college, about to be seniors now, and that was our first bowl win since 2015. Hey, but they ended a lot of some curses this past year, so that's nice to think about. But obviously, so something I've noticed, I've seen a trend among like the big time like analysts in college football. So like Joel Klatt, Josh Pate, JD Piquel from On3, like they all have Nebraska. They view Nebraska very highly. I saw something like somebody said that Nebraska might be the Indiana of 2025. I'm not that on the Kool-Aid, but a lot of it has to do with the schedule they have. It is it's Josh Pate ranked it as the easiest schedule in the Big Ten, and is one of the easiest in the Power 4. So what do you think? How do you think that will be handled by this team, especially with all the hard games being at home, other than like Penn State on the road at the end of the year? But how do you think they'll handle that?
I think it will ebb and flow. Nebraska more recently has had favorable Big Ten schedules. That has not always been the case. I feel like when we first joined the conference, we had pretty schedules. It ebbed and flowed, and then for a while there, really around COVID, before COVID, and a little bit after COVID, we kind of got stuck with very tough schedules and very hard schedules to get your ground running. Like we kept having to play a Big Ten team to open the year, and that was just honestly, for where we were at as a program, you lose that game and you're just set up for failure for the rest of the year. And so I agree that our schedule is favorable. But every time I hear that, you look back and just like last year, right? Our schedule ended up being a little harder than people originally thought. Like we were kind of had the same conversation of it being a very easy schedule. But again, with college football, there's going to be a complete 180 on some things. Some things are just going to flip. And I think that there'll be some games in there that we didn't quite expect to be as difficult or these teams to be as good as we previously thought. And I honestly... You look at over the offseason and you kind of start getting, okay, I think I understand things. And then you get closer to the season, you start second guessing things. And then you start having the reality set in and you take things with a grain of salt and you realize, Oh man, you really don't know until these games start being played. So, I think that some things are going to change throughout the season to where some teams are going to be better than what they actually are, and kind of make it to where some teams in the Big Ten where you thought they had a harder schedule will not actually have that. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I remember last year, I like chalked up that Indiana game as a win.
So did I. All right,
That ended up being our worst loss of the season, 56-7. So, I mean, something that I found interesting too, like looking back now, is how you correctly predicted that Nebraska would lose to Illinois. I didn't believe you. I was like, oh, Illinois is not that good. Again, this year they're supposed to be pretty good, and I'm still not believing the hype. But we can talk
same here.
You can talk about that later. But and then I had Nebraska losing to Purdue while you had them beating. So you kind of beat me there. But like looking at this year's schedule, like it really all revolves around game one. Is if Nebraska loses against Cincinnati in a glorified home game at Arrowhead, it's a home game for Dylan or Iola. But if they lose,
and one of our coaches,
So if they lose that, the season's like over. That's how the fans will react to it. So
that's kind of what I thought about Colorado too. And Colorado was a very massive game because they're just a popular team right now. And Cincinnati. Again, game one, we could be caught sleepwalking. And again, the Michigan game, the first Big Ten test is always how I think, like, if we run through somebody at the beginning, like if we just were able to go through there and win that game, then we were going to win a lot more. But I kind of knew that the first game, the way it was set up with the night game and stuff like that I'm like, shoot, man, that could be a real... Either you lose that and you are going to struggle. In Michigan, I don't think so as much. I initially on Michigan, just for a little bit of talk, I was buying the Kool-Aid on them, buying some stock. But then as I thought about it more, I'm like, there's still growing pains with that team that they're still going to, Sherrone Moore. I still think that he still have things he has to flesh out over there. But yeah, that first Michigan matchup is also pretty big.
Yeah, I would say so too. Like that Michigan game, unfortunately, it's not a night game, which kind of blows, but
I even would have liked a later game, like a game that maybe would have ended towards the night, maybe like a 3:30 game or something like that, or 2:30, whatever our time. But
like that environment at the Wisconsin game is like what I use for example. It's a little different because it turns into night earlier, but like a good game time like that would have been good. Like I know they want to put it in. I just hate. That's a
big noon and talk about their news over there. We could also talk about that later on about their whole
that's going to be interesting. I think that it's the Cincinnati game and Michigan game that really kind of sets the tone for the season. Obviously, Cincinnati, if Nebraska goes in and just dog walks Cincinnati with how some people think that's going to happen, I personally don't think that's just going to happen. If they do that, I mean, then you get Akron and Houston Christian, chalk those up as wins. You have so much momentum going into Michigan. They beat Michigan. Look out, Big Ten. Nebraska's coming. That type of thing. Obviously, that's a little bit of Kool-Aid talking. But then you go down later down the schedule. Like you get like every home game, every tough game that's like any like tough game on the schedule is at home, other than Penn State on the road. Like you get Michigan at home, you get USC at home, you get Iowa at home. Like
not that matters for the Iowa game,
but Minnesota, that's a road game. Not very well. That's Minnesota right now,
right? Minnesota, like that's our first true road game of the year, and that's already win. How late in the season? That's October 17th is when our first true our true road test is.
They do go on the road to Maryland first.
Yes, but I'm saying that like
true test.
Maryland, Maryland. I hope to heck we can beat them. You never know. We've had good luck.
Go better. Hopefully, it's better than last time I played them.
Yes. But I will say that just you look at it, Minnesota is like they have more expectations on them. So that's going to be, and especially how we've played Minnesota recently. So,
that until I see them beat Minnesota, I'm not very confident.
Right.
But looking to next kind of topic. So position groups this year are very interesting, especially on the offense side of the ball. Defense, I'm not very convinced right now. Until I see it, I'm going to be nervous about it, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. But top position groups going into fall camp, what do you think are our top like groups for the team this year?
Obviously I really like our wide receiver core. And I think that defensive backs are something that I'm very confident in. What I need to see just out of some guys is just to be marginally better. Like even like everyone talks about Dylan Rail, right, and saying we need a big step from him. And honestly, I think a lot of it was circumstance last year and having to play from behind games and stuff like that to where we got into deeper trouble than we had to be. But, we play some of these games to where it's not as bad of a situation. We don't shoot ourselves in the foot, and Dylan only has to be marginally better. And I think there's other position groups like that. Like Sierra Wright is someone, like if he's marginally better than he was last year, I mean, he's already going to be someone that, he turned it on at the end of the season, And I think that if he's marginally better, and same with some of the other guys, defensive backs or, and the other, linebackers or stuff like that, if they're just a little bit better. I do like the O-line. I have faith in our O-line this year. I really think that last year, yes, there were still some issues with the offensive line, but really with what Nebraska has been to be competitive, I really think our offensive line has taken enough steps forward to where I'm encouraged with them. And I just don't immediately assume that our offensive line is going to be something that is going to be an issue going forward. I hope that it isn't, but I feel safe with them. Wide receiver room, again, they're a room I'm comfortable with. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, definitely wide receiver. Wide receiver, I just don't know how they're going to play everybody.
Really, who is really going to fit where? Because, you've seen tape for some of the guys that have transferred, but is that really where they're going to play,
Right. My expectation is Dane Key from Kentucky. He's going to be wide receiver number 1. He has the most experience. He's probably, I don't know. I feel very comfortable. I feel very confident in him being wide receiver number 1. Then you have Neziah Hunter and Ja'Cory Barney. Where do you put those guys? Because they both played their true freshman seasons and they both really stood out. I'm very, very high on Neziah. I feel like he's going to be a beast for Nebraska. And based on what I've been told by some people, he's going to be very, very good this year. And he's really already shown it. Ja'Cory, we already seen him. I feel like he would be a good guy to put in the slot because we can use him in multiple different ways. In the backfield, we can throw it to him, screens if they're run correctly, not to
if they're run correct. But here's the more important thing: if they block, that has really been the biggest issue with some of the screens. Is if people block. Because I think we found that with Dana when Dana came in here and realized, oh, these people aren't blocking.
Yeah, and then you got guys like the true freshman like Cortez Mills, who I view very highly for the this upcoming season. It's just a true freshman. He's gonna play. He's one of those guys where you can throw him in rotationally. I'm a little worried. I don't know if you really want to burn a red shirt, but I don't know. We'll see. And then there's this other guys like Demetrius Bell. How is he gonna fit in? Yeah, and then Quinn Clark, I don't know how to feel about him. So, because we remember last year, people were expecting him to play against, was it USC, and he never played.
Yeah,
or Wisconsin. That was a guy.
Was he like that? Everyone was like, "Oh, here's the mystery player that's gonna."
Yeah, Dana Holgorsen was talking about him, and then he just was never played. So I don't know. We didn't even talk about this. How do you feel about the tight ends?
Especially I don't know.
Somebody starting at tight end, which I was not expecting. When he first broke out on the scene.
Is Heinrich actually going to start over Luke Lindenmeyer?
I wouldn't, but he's going to play.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to. Well, here's the problem: is that we weren't initially for sure if Fedoni was going to stay the extra year or not. And I think for his case, honestly, he went and won a bowl game at Nebraska, and I get there are bigger things to accomplish, but he has put so much in the program, and he's had a lot, taken out of his career to where if he even had the opportunity to sniff at the NFL, why not go do that? And I think that he obviously has the potential to go out there and be successful just because he has the pure skills. And I think that NFL GMs are going to be like, they're always going to try to see someone like that, someone that they can sculpt and put in their scheme and stuff like that. And you just never know how it works out. But I think that since Matt Rhule was very confident on him going to the to go pursue the NFL, I think that that him going over there definitely impacted things because just Luke Lindenmeyer, Carter Nelson. Carter Nelson. Here's the thing too. He's coming off that injury.
Is he gonna play?
Is he gonna play? And that's where I
don't know.
Like, oh, and then you have Mark Markway, who is also injured. Who
it's
just
Markway?
Mark and the Funky Bunch. Mac Markway, he came to Nebraska like the old school, just show up. All right, Matt Rhule, I'm here to play. Okay, I guess. But he's injured, So now you're tight end room, and you're looking at that, and then seeing who we all brought in. Like I know we had
tight ends.
I feel like we've brought in at least like one guy. Shoot, Ian Flint's not here anymore, is he? No, I don't think he is.
We really didn't bring in tight ends based on the roster or that or what I can remember.
Yeah.
Somebody got moved to tight end. Oh, yeah. I don't remember. I'll figure it
out. But yeah, the tight end room, man, especially with, I was frustrated for a while there. In the past 10 years, I felt like we were very underutilizing the tight end for the people we had. And it really wasn't until the 2021 season where I felt like we actually started utilizing them in the offense. Now, granted, it's been a long time since then, but we've used the tight end a lot. And I felt like last year, even when Fedoni was having all right games and just whatever who was out there, we've lost some people. I mean, obviously, who went to Texas A&M? Borkacher. Nate. I feel like he was someone that was just, honestly, he was really, I thought, played as good as anybody in that lineup. I love Fedoni, but Nate showed as good of strengths out there, and losing him, honestly, at first, we didn't think it, Dylan. We didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal, but guess what? Now with the weakened tight end room, and that's something, you think about Dana's offense, right? And I just want every position to be able to score. It doesn't matter. Tight end, running back, wide receiver. I want them all to be the best they can be. And right now, I mean, people talk about the running back room all the time. I think that will sort itself out. But the tight end room, especially with how we're going to have to use them, I mean, these guys are going to have to do something. But again, what do you think about Heinrich? What are the realistic expectations for Heinrich, first of all?
I just want him to be the athletic guy that we know him to be. Like, he just needs to be one of those guys. And I just hope he can move into that position as seamless as possible. And we saw it in the bowl game a little bit. He did play a little bit, and he played his first year 2 years ago in the Minnesota game before Sims went down when he had was benched after during Colorado. But he played tight end a little bit, so he has the experience. I'm just a little bit worried, and I hope they start Lindenmeyer unless some in practice or something or in fall camp that Heinrich Haarberg just makes a huge step as tight end. Cool. I really don't know what to expect, but
yeah, definitely a lot of unknowns in that position. It's a little worrying because I feel like past few years, the tight end room was just serviceable enough. Like, we've had the people in there to just, whether it was remember Travis Vokalek a few years ago or Austin Allen, we had guys in there that you felt like, okay, these guys are serviceable. You can go up there, they can go get a ball. And now it's we know Heinrich can catch. And the bowl game was very encouraging, I think. And I think that was really winning that game and having a lot of those guys play that hadn't really played, kind of set a little things at ease for me. But yeah, Luke Lindenmeyer, he's someone that you can trust. But again, he will have to take a step forward. He can't just be as good as he has been because he's been the number 3 receiver or number 3 tight end, basically. And it's not like he's been bad, but like we haven't need him to step up like this. Like immediately going from the 3 to the 2 in the bowl game and now the 1.
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
know.
see.
And then moving on to another position group. I'm not. Some of the Husker media have really said that the D line isn't as much of an issue as what people were thinking. What do you think, Dylan?
I'm still concerned. Like, it's just the lack of experience. That's what really
Mm-hmm.
concerns me. It's like, let me rephrase: lack of experience on Nebraska, on the roster. Like, they brought in a lot of transfer guys. You have like Elijah Judy, who's back, Riley Van Poppel, and in the D tackle, but the new guys like Williams Nawari, Dason McCullough, like I don't know how to feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, Dason, he has a lot of experience. I mean, he was a dog at Indiana. He played a little bit at Oklahoma. Now he's here in Nebraska. Like, yeah, he's going to be one of our top guys. I'm just not. I need to see it. You know,
Williams.
like,
Williams Nawari. He didn't really play last year, or did he even play?
He played, but he played a little bit. He had his red shirt. He had a red shirt, so that's nice for us.
But there's still a lot of unknowns with him. And is he
if he enjoys football, he's going to be a beast. Like, that's the thing. Like, I stole that from Justice, but like if Williams likes football, he plays like he likes football, he's going to be really good.
What have been the thoughts of him so far, really, throughout when spring and all that stuff? I mean, what really?
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea. I didn't anything.
Because like, if you haven't heard anything, I haven't heard anything either on that, and that was one of the sort of obviously everyone was excited for it. I'm excited for it too, but then you got to have your pinch of salt in there, and it's like, okay, well, where's he actually gonna is he actually gonna play meaningful snaps? So.
Right. That's the main position group I'm the most concerned about. Even with the media members saying that it shouldn't be that big of a worry.
Outside, especially more recently, they've been turning like for a while there. It was like, oh, the D line huge issue, and I feel like more recently, I've heard Sipple, he was saying some good stuff about it. So,
I don't know. We'll see, but like, there's also just the concern of like, will John Butler be able to replicate what Tony White was able to do the last 2 years?
Yes. Now I'll say to this though, his first year here with Matt Rhule, the defense was exceptional. They were a beast. Last year they took a little bit of a step back, and I think they lost some of that fiery intensity that we saw out of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that is hope for me at least. This is what I'll take it. I don't always want to look at the things the negative way, because sometimes, man, just seeing everything the negative way, it can get annoying. But I think with John Butler, I mean, Matt Rhule, I hope. And here's my question. I don't know if you know this or not, but how involved is Matt Rhule in the defensive side of things? He's a defensive guy, and No Block No Rock was talking about this, and I never really thought about it. Tony White, of course, was a huge deal there. But remember, Matt Rhule was not happy with Tony White for a while there. Last year, that's the reason why Phil Snow came in here, was because you're having some issues on the defensive side of things, whether it was coaching or not. And I don't know how involved Matt Rhule is. If Matt Rhule has been involved in the defense and that's still going to be the same way, then I'm a little less worried, because obviously that means that his ingredients have been spread out over the playing field there. But if not, and it's purely was like more Tony White, and it's just a straight up switch to John Butler, which again, it would be a lot of the same stuff. But I don't know. That transition still worries me on paper, but I think things are just kind of going to work out. I think the defense is still going to be solid enough. Run game may be worse, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty nice. And especially for John Butler, when you have a guy like Phil Snow you can go to that's been in college football for a while. You have Terry Braden, who's now coaching defensive line, who has the NFL coaching experience, and bringing – I mean, for one of the best teams we've seen in the last freaking 10 years. Like, the Chiefs have been so good the last 10 years. So, like, it's just like I'm excited. I'm also a little nervous about the defense. But anyways. All right. Let's keep this part a little calm. Keep this calm.
I've been drinking water. I'm fine. I'm refreshed right now.
So we're gonna quickly go over. There's the Scott Frost thing that happened last week. I won't even. Before I even start, how do you feel about everything with that?
I just am like, why would you bring that attention on yourself? But the problem is that Scott Frost, I just think that like it's a human characteristic he has, because some people, they just don't realize when they say those things the impact they have. Like, it's just on a different level. It's kind of like when he was saying the players are puking in practice, right? You know, he thought that it was a cool way to show that, like, okay, these players are working hard, when it really just made you sound kind of dumb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is that he's been away from college football for a while, in coaching in general. And it's like, you're trying to start fresh over here, and you're trying to not have that unneeded baggage from your previous place that was a complete dumpster fire train wreck. The worst possible scenario, in my opinion, that happened with his coaching tenure in Nebraska. And you go out there and just make comments that immediately are going to draw you up in the headlines. Because immediately after those things were said, Barstool, On 3, it didn't matter the publication it was for the sports. They were posting that stuff immediately, because guess what? You got the coach talking about how his former place that was a complete dumpster fire, and Nebraska, of course, also gets clicks on top of that, and people are going to want to know about it. They want to know the inside beans in that situation, and it's just a dumb dumpster fire. Like, how did he not have some sort of PR training in the offseason or somewhere, or not offseason, but, you know, sometime in his time away from Nebraska, that, like, why just make those comments? And it's like,
Yeah.
And I know you agree with this, Dylan, but just the lack of accountability, man. I mean, like, I get things weren't rose, you know, like you kind of got pulled in Nebraska. But, so you're basically saying, like, screw you to Tom Osborne, who kind of pulled you to Nebraska. He was the main reason why he came to Nebraska the first time when he transferred from Stanford, and the second time. And you're basically putting the blame on Tom Osborne too, which I think is just kind of messed up. So you're like, yeah, you know, this old guy that I played for, right? You know, he kind of was pulling me over here, and I didn't really want to go to. Well, guess what? I guarantee that Scott would have chosen another power conference job like Florida that was open at that time, or some of the other ones. I don't know how you feel, but the lack of accountability.
It's just kind of like funny him saying, don't take the wrong job." That quote is just, I kind of just like, I was like when I first saw that, I was like, what? Then I kind of just started laughing. I'm like, why? There was so many on the field issues you could have brought up. You could have done, I don't know, like anything.
He just could have said it just didn't work out. Like, it just didn't work out.
Just all you say. Don't burn the bridge. Like, now he's not going to be wanted back here. And he was already burning the bridge anyways. So he just made it, instead of like just burning it down and it can't be rebuilt, he literally blew up the
and then the other comments about the fans too was, of course, as a Husker, you know, somebody that's been a Husker fan my entire life, and obviously go to Nebraska, it's like, yeah, you know, really, you know, piss on the people that had your back even through the worst times. You know, you had all these issues, right? And there were still a huge chunk of people that were supporters of his, even after the fact. And you're still going to be like, well, you know, I liked it at UCF because, you know, Mickey Mouse is more important than our football team. You know, I mean, like, yeah, you know, you had a passionate fan base. And I can't believe that, you know, someone pulled up that clip of it, or the quote from his back in the 90s when he came to Nebraska. He made a similar comment about that when he was 24 years old or whatever. And granted, I'm a 22-year-old, and, you know, I hope my comments are good, but, like, you don't always want to be held liable for those or accountable for those, right? But it's like, man, you know, he's had the same opinion his entire life, I guess.
Yeah.
So should have known it then. And I got to shout out my dad, because back in the day, he was skeptical of Scott Frost and that stuff. And I remember, you know, my dad was saying this to me, you know, Scott Frost got booed in the first few home games he played in Nebraska, until he had that big game, I think, against Arizona State, was it? I can't remember.
I think so, yeah.
And that's when people are like, okay, yeah. And I asked my dad this too, which I would think would be interesting to go back and through. Like, would we have won the national championship without him? Like, if there was another quarterback, would that even have been possible? My dad says probably not, because QB play was too important, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just a whole ordeal it just didn't need to be. That stuff didn't need to be said. You're starting a new, you know, fresh slate over at UCF, trying to recreate your old magic. But then again, you got to realize you're Scott Frost, and you're like, I only had one winning season ever as a head coach, by the way. He's only had one winning season ever. And granted, that one winning season, quote unquote, unclaimed national championship, not to me, but to some people,
UCF fans.
Yeah, and there's other people too, but yeah, that's I really we've talked about a lot. Everyone else has talked about a lot, and yeah, the lack of accountability and just why.
Yeah. So we'll use that to go into their next segment. Kind of excited for this, Blake. This is your idea, so I'll let you take over here for this part.
Yes. So back in freshman year, we did games, and that's something that we have not done in a long time. We have not done a lot of games, and so again, one of the things that we're trying to rebrand and introduce into the podcast is being able to do different games and stuff like that. And so we got a new one that we were just kind of workshopping before here. Keep, Sell, Destroy, College Football Stadium Edition. So out of 3 stadiums, we'll get 3 random Power 4 team stadiums, and you'll keep one, you'll sell one, and then you'll destroy one. So I'm excited. We're going to be doing 3 rounds here, and with that, we're going to be going here, and I'll say I'm Dylan, and then you'll respond first, and then I'll respond second. So for round 1, the stadiums are Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin, versus Doak Campbell Stadium, Florida State, Memorial Stadium, the Horseshoe, Ohio State, and Columbus. Those are their first 3 stadiums. So Florida State Stadium, Florida State, and Wisconsin.
Okay. I've been to the Horseshoe. I went there over the fall, back in the fall. That place was insane. And you're in the press box. It, from experience at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, you can hear the crowd, but it's still a little bit muffed in the press box. You can actually hear it here at Ohio State. So I'm gonna put them at keep because first of all, I've been there, like I said, and it's one of the coolest environments in college football, just from a viewer standpoint. Sell, I'll do Doak Campbell.
Yeah.
I feel like Florida State, it's one of those teams, like they're one of the blue bloods of college football, just with their history, and I feel like it's one of the better environments. And I think one of the most overrated environments, there's a clip we have on Instagram, I think it was from our good buddy Caleb. He talked about how Camp Randall is so overrated. Yeah, I would destroy Camp Randall. That was pretty easy one. I knew that. It was just between the keep and sell. I was actually kind of interested. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I agree for the most part, but I'm going to switch it. I got Doak Campbell as my keep because they always have a fantastic environment. Well, okay, this past year's a little different.
Ignore last year.
But for the most part, they just have a really good environment. They've made some renovations recently that kind of, keep it in the 21st century. And it's just a beautiful stadium in general. You look at it, architecture of it is very cool, and taking account for everything. So, yeah, I'm going to keep FSU Stadium, and I'm going to sell the Horseshoe, the beautiful stadium. I love it. Fantastic environment, really cool with the architecture of that stadium too, and the fans are fantastic there for that one. And again, Camp Randall, I'm sorry, but again, when the students don't even show up till the 3rd quarter, it's like, I don't care. Jump around. It's been overrated. I mean, you look at their fan base and, see, as Nebraska fans, we can say this because we show up in any kind of weather. It doesn't matter. We'll show up to the stadium and at least, quote unquote, sell it out. And yeah, with Camp Randall, man, quite a bit overrated. If it wasn't for Jump Around, if they did not have Jump Around, I don't know.
From what I've heard, they leave after that too. They leave after Jump Around.
Yeah. All right. Round number 2, Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Okay, Auburn. So Auburn.
Autzen Stadium, Oregon.
Ooh.
Memorial Stadium, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay. Well, I'll try not to be a homer. Oh, that's a tough one.
It is tough.
Because I remember watching the Ohio State Oregon game. That environment on TV, just on TV, was insane for that game. But okay, I'm gonna be a homer. All right, so I'm keeping Memorial Stadium. You got to keep that.
You gotta.
I mean, it's just one of those. It's so iconic. Like that's not even me from a Husker fan standpoint. It's just so iconic. So many incredible moments. You just think of like the Hail Mary, all of like the dominance during the '90s, and it's just so iconic. And it's just one of the first days. Like it was during that era of like all these stadiums are being named after World War I vets. But it's just like one of those. It's like they kept it, and you can still walk around the stadium, and you see the old stadium still inside of it, even though with all the new renovations and stuff like that. And I think the renovations that they're planning on doing is going to help increase the environment, like making it like cooler.
Yes.
Getting the grass. It's going to be really cool. And being in the press box too is really cool. And yeah, so that's an easy keep. Sell, I'm going to do, that's tough. I'm going to do sell Autzen. I just like I kind of already talked about it, but like the environment there is always really, really cool. It's one of the loudest stadiums in college football. And Oregon fans, despite their historical
zero net.
Lack of national championships, it's still their fan base is very like strong, and I feel like they show up every weekend. So
they show up everywhere. It doesn't matter.
Autzen. And then destroy. It's unfortunately like Jordan-Hare is one of the nicer stadiums too, but it ends up being just the worst of the three. So that's why they get put in destroyed.
Oh man, Dylan, I agree with you, but for the sake of being different, Memorial Stadium, you just got to keep that. I mean, again, like what you're saying, it's literally like a museum. Like it is kept enshrined the older parts, which we're lucky that it's like that, that it's basically a museum. You walk around the concourse and you're like, oh my God, this is literally the stadium from when it was created in the 1900s.
Yeah.
But I'd sell Jordan-Hare Stadium. I just know that environment is also really damn good. I mean, fantastic when the Iron Bowls played there. But I got to sell Autzen Stadium. I really think for the big games, it can be pretty good. But, sometimes, I don't know. Autzen Stadium can be a little – I'm going to destroy that one. It's getting torn down. I'm sorry. They're going to have to build a new stadium back over in Eugene. Autzen Stadium is going to buy. All right. For the final round 3.
Oh, boy.
The stadiums are Sanford Stadium, Georgia.
Okay.
Notre Dame Stadium, Notre Dame. Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech.
Repeat those. Sorry.
Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech. Notre Dame Stadium. And Sanford Stadium, Georgia. There's Georgia Stadium.
Okay. Keep. Easy. Notre Dame. Touchdown Jesus. It's one of the most iconic things in college football in general. It's just like you think of college football, you think of a lot of things, but one of those is touchdown Jesus. And it's a cool environment. Like regardless, like remembering back to that first college football playoff game against Indiana of all teams, that place was loud. It was ruckus. I remember that 99-yard touchdown by Jeremiah Love. That place exploded. And I just think it's a good environment. I'll do Lane Stadium. Enter Sandman. I mean, most iconic walkout in the stadium. I just remember when they first came back from COVID in the 2021 season, where they had the fans first time back in the stadium. And they had that ESPN broadcast. The camera was shaking during that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will destroy Sanford. It's such a hard list to do. Like Sanford, it's an iconic stadium too, but it's kind of like a newer Georgia. It hasn't been like historically they've been good, sort of, but like at the same time, I just don't. It's not memorable. Like you can always remember the other two. You don't remember Sanford. Like they're very, very good. Georgia, that's not a team I want to play, but I'd say that's my destroy.
All right, I got to keep Notre Dame Stadium for all the reasons you said. A historic venue that just still looks fantastic, and when you have the big games there, nothing's better. And we even saw that for the on-campus environment when it happened, for the playoffs. And so I got to keep Notre Dame Stadium. I'm going to sell Sanford Stadium. Georgia Stadium. It's good. A problem, looking at I know the crowd can be very good there. But again, the historical side of things, like they haven't always been as relevant, right?
Mhm.
And their stadium is kind of bland. It kind of just looks like it's just a bowl, has some of the different decks. It doesn't really have a lot of unique architecture with it. So I'm selling that one. And I'm gonna be honest, I love Enter Sandman. It's a fantastic entrance, but I got to destroy that stadium for the simple fact of all encompassing things. It's also another stadium that is, has two huge sides, but the end zones one end zone's bigger than the other one. The other one's pretty small. Fantastic environment, but again, Virginia Tech is another place that they've had their ups and downs. More recently, they really have not been as great and as relevant. Enter Sandman is fantastic, but I got to go with hot take. I'm destroying that stadium. Sorry, Lane Stadium. They're gonna have to build a new one.
Okay.
All right, so that was that segment. And Dylan, what are we doing next?
I alluded to it earlier. Top 5 non-conference games of 2025. It is a loaded non-con this year, especially week 1. So yeah, it just feels like it's a little different. Like you always see the top 10 list. Oh yeah, top 10 games of the year, and it's always Michigan, Ohio State number 1. You're like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. We'll be a little different. Let's do the non-conference games. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you go first, Blake. Since I went first the last segment, so I'll let you go first. What is your? We'll go 5-1. So what's your number 5?
So 5 is like like that's the lowest, or is that okay?
Or let's do it that way.
Okay. I would say my lowest is going to be Nebraska, Cincinnati. I know that isn't a homer pick, but I just think the ramifications if Cincinnati gets that win. I don't necessarily know this guarantees Cincinnati will have a good year, but I think that have them start off on the right foot for a program that is, freshly still in the Power 5, their Power 4 era. They've only recently been in the Big 12, and so they still have adding some adjusting to that. And I think you saw some competitive aspects in the past few years, but again, just the stakes are still very high for both these programs. And then obviously it being at, Arrowhead Stadium. I love that stadium. Obviously I'm a Chiefs fan, but it's going to be a very unique, it's unique because it just is obviously, it's going to be played on a Thursday night, and has a lot of stakes towards it. There's still plenty of other good games, but I think that's probably my number 5.
Okay. My number 5, kind of going back and forth between them. I'm going to do Alabama, Florida State as my number 5. Okay. I just think this game, I only have it at 5 because the unknown factor about Florida State with how they're going to look with new coordinators. Obviously, they keep Mike Norvell as head coach. He could have easily been fired after last year, but you bring in a new offensive coordinator and defense coordinator with Gus Malzahn from UCF, and then you also have Tony White from Nebraska. So there's a lot of unknown with that Florida State team, but at the same time, Alabama is very unknown too. There's a lot of different things that could happen with both of those teams. I feel like this is a good number 5. It really sets the tone. Like if Florida State wins this game at home, they're back. I think they'll be back like a little bit more competitive than last year. But if Alabama wins, I mean, it just shows that, oh, yeah, there's still the same law about Alabama in these tough non-con games. So, yeah, that's my number 5.
All right, my next one, there are just a lot of good ones. I think Florida at Miami is my next one. Again, the stakes are going to be pretty high for that one. It's of course, it's a rivalry game. But if Florida is what they say they are this year, and DJ Lagway is getting a lot of hype. I don't know if I believe it yet. But DJ Lagway is getting a lot of hype. So if Florida is in potential for playoffs, this would be a huge game. And Miami too, people I think assume Miami is going to be good, but I just don't know. I mean, they had a very good year last year. But you could still tell at times that team was close in quite a few games that their quarterback, Cam Ward, bailed them out of a few ones. I just know, you think about the Cal game, or those few games early on the season that they kind of escaped, that they probably should have lost, but they ended up winning. So I don't know if that's going to be the same case this year. Like, are they just going to be able to just go through those games, or is it gonna be some close ones like that? So Florida at Miami is my next spot.
My next one, I'm also gonna have a Miami game here. Miami Notre Dame. Think this game is gonna be a little interesting. It's kind of lower on my list, only because of Miami. I'm not convinced yet. I don't know how Carson Beck's going to play. He could be like insane, like Cam Ward was last year. He also could just be the Carson Beck we've known for the past 2-3 years. He has all the Heisman, ability, but just doesn't turn out to be what he needs to be. So I'm gonna have that at 4. And also just with Notre Dame, they have really good wide receivers, have good running backs, a really, really good running back, but there's also just I don't know. Are they gonna actually be good? You got a new quarterback now, but probably the CJ Carr. I don't know. It sets the tone for both teams and start the season. Week 1, that's a big game to start off the season. So, and really, if Miami's environment is decent, this could be a really, really good game, just in general. But I don't know. I'm not 100% yet.
All right, for my number 3 one, I got Michigan versus Oklahoma. Both these teams are looking for a lot of upside. Oklahoma finished the year 6-7, and so they had a losing season, and that bowl game against Navy was they had every reason to win that game, and they still lost. And I just know Brent Venables is going to be on the hot seat, and he's someone that I thought when he got hired was going to be able to take over and basically do what Oklahoma had been doing with the program, but we found out that isn't necessarily true. In Michigan, with that true freshman quarterback, it's a lot like Dylan Raiola last year. Like, can he actually get in there and be what they need him to be? And Dylan Raiola was serviceable last year, but this new quarterback that Michigan's going to have, I don't know if it's just guaranteed that he's going to be able to go there and run the offense that they have. And you looked at still last year, Sherrone Moore, his first year as head coach, growing pains. And I think that they just aren't guaranteed the dominant success. I think that they're still going to have to fight and claw at a lot of games. Like the Illinois game is one that I really think of, the Illinois-Michigan game. And I think it's going to be more of the same. Will they probably have a better record? Yes, I think they'll have a better record than last year in the regular season. But a good non-con matchup there.
All right, my number 3 is going to be Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Again, Notre Dame's on this list. It's just the unknown with both teams. Mm-hmm. I really think they're going to be both good. Notre Dame could just go back to the national championship this year. So could Texas A&M could be really good this year. And with how good the game was last year, I kind of like just putting that on to this year too. I feel like it's going to be a good game, good environment, like we talked about just a little bit ago with the stadium thing. Notre Dame, that environment's going to be incredible, and I think that'll be a pretty good game. To kind of one of the biggest game probably in that week 3 slate. So, so Texas and Notre Dame's my number 3.
My number 2, LSU versus Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you talk about ramifications for the Michigan-Oklahoma game. This is playoff ramifications here. Clemson, they can go through and, they could do really well. I'm really high in Clemson. I think that with Dabo Swinney dipping his hands in the portal more now than he ever has, and I just feel like he always has a good understanding of his roster. And even the past few years, I think the past 2 years when I really thought they were going to perform worse than what they were, you got to trust Dabo. You got to lean on him. He has the experience. He's been there, done that, and he's been able to really assemble really good years out of kind of not always having the best talent, just obviously not using the portal. And now that they're using the portal, I think that they'll be a lot better. And LSU, of course, Brian Kelly, more recently they've been getting a lot of hype, but can they actually live up to it? Can they win those big games? I feel like that is sort of what has been Brian Kelly's issue, is those big games have been the issue. And this one, to me, again, will have playoff ramifications later on for at least one of those teams.
I'm actually going to, if you're okay with this, Blake, I am actually going to flip. I'm going to put Texas A&M Notre Dame at 2. 3, I'm going to do South Carolina and Virginia Tech as my 3. So it's technically 2, but I'm flipping. So So Virginia Tech and South Carolina. So South Carolina, they really were an interesting team last year. Lenora Sellers at quarterback, like he's becoming really a force to be reckoned with in the SEC. And if they replicate that this year, they could be a monster for the SEC. Obviously behind like the main powerhouses like with Georgia and Alabama. And Virginia Tech, with it being a neutral site in Atlanta, makes it kind of more interesting. It's going to be even playing field, and I feel like if Virginia Tech wins this game, I don't even know. And with Virginia Tech being in the quote unquote tank conference with the ACC, if they're good, they're going to be good. If they're not, they're going to be really bad. So, I feel like this is just an interesting non-conference game. So I feel like that is
great. All right, number one. I mean, I think that this is, pretty shocked. Not gonna lie, it's kind of been the unanimous number one, and that is Texas versus Ohio State. I mean, we already know that game, both those teams will be fighting for playoff contention. Texas was voted first in the in the SEC was it this coaches poll or the media poll or the coaches so they got voted first in that, and it only took 1 year fully being in the conference for them to kind of just take over and be kind of the front. But I think that Steve Sarkisian has them built up for success. Like previous years for Texas football, when they've had before they went through their string of hirings and firings, they really were not built up for success during that period. It felt like if they'd have years where they'd start becoming good, and then there just was no consistency with it. Now I feel comfortable with Steve Sarkisian and that entire team and what they built over the past few years. I feel like they're easy to shoot in, be good. Although, does that mean that they're guaranteed it? No. But that matchup, man, Ohio State, it's what you want out of these non-con matchups. I know college football is changing, and you kind of want the easy non-con now, especially if you can fly through the conference schedule, basically do what Indiana did last year. And I know us being a Husker podcast, really, we talked about obviously us not playing Tennessee, and I was fine with that decision because I felt like it's what you had to do there. But man, the Texas Ohio State game is what you want out of these matchups. It's the ones, especially with it being week one, you look forward to these ones, and they're going to have a lot of implications later on, especially an Ohio State team obviously coming off the national championship. So, yeah. What is your number one, Dylan?
Okay, well, it would be Ohio State and Texas. I'll say that, but also a sneaky game. It's not my number one, but I just wanted to talk about it because I didn't find a spot on my list for it. It's Georgia Tech, Colorado, week one.
Yeah, that is
such a weird game. It's on Thursday. It's right before Nebraska's game against Cincinnati.
That means I won't be able to watch it, which sucks because I'll be down there. And
yeah, that will suck too. But I think it is. Am I blind? It is. But it's a very interesting game, and with Georgia Tech, like I'm weirdly high on them. Like I still don't know how mentally how to feel about it, but at the same time, like
they have the quarterback, I mean, Haynes King, he's solid enough. It's just that I feel like with an ACC team like that, can they actually sustain this test? Really, I mean, like we all saw at the end of last year with the Georgia and Georgia Tech game. I mean, that was one that kind of really, I mean, Georgia Tech could have, should have won that game. They had plenty of chances, but is that achievable again for another year? What do you think, Dylan? I mean, do you think that this
it doesn't help
that will matter later on, or?
Yeah. I don't know. Like Georgia Tech, they did lose Eric Singleton, which is one of their top wide receivers. So that will hurt. Mm-hmm. Having Haynes King back, he's probably one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. It's not saying much. I mean, behind Cade Klubnik and Carson Beck, really, who is there?
If Carson Beck is guaranteed to play,
Thomas Castellanos at Florida State. Yeah, no, I'm out on that, buddy. But yeah, Haynes King is one of those guys. He's really good, and they've been coached pretty well, and I feel like they're going to be competitive this year. I don't know if they'll be winning the ACC. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Clemson. I don't think anybody's going to beat Clemson, to be fair. If they get past LSU, I don't think anybody's beating Clemson. So, yeah. But, yeah, my number one's obviously Texas Ohio State, and I'm not going to get clipped saying somebody else's. So,
yeah.
So Texas Ohio State's my number one.
That would have been the perfect for short for him.
Yeah, I already have one in mind from something you said about Scott Frost. So,
hey, you know what? Blame Dylan if our short form doesn't really go up anywhere because he didn't want to do the clip of saying that like Oregon versus Oklahoma State were going to be the number one non-con matchup.
No, that's not even nowhere near my top 5. That's going to be a disaster for one of those teams. I won't say
probably the Mike Gundy team.
You guys could listeners, you could probably figure that out. But yeah, so Texas Ohio State, but a sneaky game, Georgia Tech in Colorado. Do you have a sneaky game?
Well, again, I mean, there are just so many good matchups. I think one of them that could be pretty interesting is North Carolina versus UCF because, again, that being Scott F over there, his team, and kind of a bigger matchup over there. Obviously, Big 12 versus the ACC there, and Bill Belichick. Where is that program at? I think that my prediction it felt a lot like Deion Sanders, where it kind of felt like there's a lot of media hype, right? Like, Bill Belichick is a very good coach, but he is old. And then that interview came out, and people were like, "Oh man, where's this program at?" I still have those feelings that this could potentially be a dumpster fire for UNC, and I don't necessarily know if they're setting themselves up for success by hiring an old dude. Sorry, I hate to reduce Bill Belichick to being an old dude, but this is college football. NFL is different. We've seen it vice versa. Nick Saban not doing good over there, but he was younger then. This is a 70-year-old dude being the head coach of a power program. I guess North Carolina's that, but that's my sneaky game.
Yeah, I know it's not a non-con game, but I'm really excited for the Iowa State Kansas State game in Ireland.
Yeah, Farmageddon.
It's such a weird game to put in freaking Ireland, but it's whatever. Anyways,
kind of like there's another weird game that they played in Ireland.
What's it? What?
Another weird game that was played in Ireland.
Oh yeah, Nebraska Northwestern.
No, Florida State versus Boston College last year.
Nope, Florida State Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. I always get that they play.
They played back-to-back weeks.
That's right. Okay. That's what I always get confused on that one.
Because we watched both of them.
Yes. Yep.
Because I think you came over for I know you came over for the Boston College game, but yeah, it was funny watching those. Watching Florida State lose after all of that off-season media attention for not making the college football playoff, which is, I think it was all fair. I get it. I would be pissed off too, but in the end, you go 2-10. It's just kind of funny.
It's very funny.
It's the most ACC school thing possible.
Yep. And now they stole our defensive coordinator. So,
yeah. Who cares? We'll see what happens.
Yep.
Anyway, so that was our first episode back in a while. Yeah. So obviously we'll go through listeners, you understand this rundown we're about to do. So obviously go follow us on socials. It's on Twitter or /X, whatever you want to call it anymore. It's Last Take 22, capital TLT. And then Instagram is all lowercase Last Take Pod. So signing off for the Last Take, it's Dylan.
It's Blake.
And of course, GBR.